My journey to where I'm at my career started, I would say, in Australia, where I started as a camera assistant in Western Australia. I climbed up until someone suggested applying for the American Film Institute Conservatory in the US. And I applied, and one of 28 got in, and did that course. It was a master's in cinematography, and I did that for 2 years, and basically was spat out as cinematographer, for better or worse, certainly in the beginnings of my career. And I spent the next couple of years just working the city streets, the LA streets, and shooting as much as I could. Eventually, I decided to broaden myself back to Australia, but to Sydney this time, and continue to shoot commercials and establish myself as a cinematographer there. And then I got accreditation into the Australian Cinematographer Society, and I thought a lot of the stuff that I was seeing was more in Australia, in the UK, so I started to come this way. So yeah. I guess one thing I didn't add is that when I was at university, I thought I wanted to be, I didn't realize cinematography was an option until about second or third year, until someone handed me a camera, and everything changed, because it's the combination of the creative and the technical that really fits my brain, because I come from a line of scientists and mathematicians, and so I think there's something about having a means to an end in terms of knowing what you want to do creatively and emotionally, but knowing the nitty-gritty as to how to get there. And I started. Someone suggested just get onto sets, get on-set experience, and so I did a lot of everything for a while before finally getting myself in the camera assistant world and climbing up that way. What inspired me to begin with was obviously the technical side of things, but then realizing that there are ways to make someone feel the way that I felt when I watched films, and finally understanding what that meant in terms of, the very basic, like color or light or whatever, but then eventually understanding that there is a storytelling approach to creating imagery that makes you feel something. So I think that everything from the technical cameras, the presence of a cinematographer on set and watching them work, and then seeing the results that are possible and how they make the audience feel, or made me feel, along the way, were all inspirations. My advice for new talent would be, I guess, the same as what I received advice-wise. If you don't know what you want to do yet, but you want to be in the film industry, get yourself on set and observe what the various departments are and various roles are and where you feel you fit. And then just try a few things. If you know you want to be a cinematographer, then I would suggest do a little bit of climbing, in terms of that you don't have to do that anymore strategically as back in the day, where you had to start as a camera assistant and climb up to operating, and then eventually you land. Nowadays there is more of an opportunity to go straight into it. However, I think it's important to have even a little bit of that experience, so that you understand how a set works, you understand the hierarchy, the skill, the discipline, so that you know how to lead eventually that crew by knowing what their jobs look like. And then ultimately shoot as much as you can, or even in parallel. So, do camera assisting work, and then on the weekend shoot short films, music videos, what have you, and develop your voice and your taste, so it takes a while to develop yourself as a creative in terms of what you want to do and what kind of stories you want to tell. So I think that the more you shoot, the more you understand that, and understand that it's an evolution as well. What you were like Monday to Tuesday is going to be different, let alone from 1 year to 3. So yeah, but just keep at it, persevere, because it is challenging and can be discouraging at times when not busy, or it's such a big industry to get into. So also I would say another bit of advice is find a mentor, even if it's not a mentor even if you don't know what you want to do yet. So if you don't, find anyone from the industry you can talk to, and they can start helping you out. And if you do know what you want, then obviously go to that specific person. And again, you're not going to hear, you may hear back from a mentor immediately when you reach out to them, but sometimes you don't. And so keep at it and try to reach out to a few people. So that'd be my advice. I think the only thing that I would do differently, perhaps, if I was to go back, is to start in the lighting department. when you want to be a cinematographer, everyone puts you into camera department because really, I mean, on paper, you are, as a cinematographer, the HOD of the camera department. And you do spend a lot of time next to the camera and therefore the cinematographer when you do work in the camera department. However, so many, I mean, this is a generalization, but at least so many of the cinematographers that I've met that light really well started as gaffers or electrics and that kind of thing. Because I think and the one time that I gaffed a short film or something like that, even I was like, oh, this is how you can use these different lights. And I think that a lot of people don't. As a cinematographer, you light, especially when you go into TV and such. That's the only thing that really you have that is yours. Everything else is shared with many other people, which is great. It's collaborative, but lighting is your paintbrush. And so, and I think with when you're not physically holding onto the lights every day, people don't understand that there is that physics to light. What makes lights, what gives the quality of light? And so rather than knowing, oh, this is what a keynote does, it's like, this is what a soft light is and what makes it soft. So the trajectory that I've taken, I appreciate, and I think I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that, but certainly I think I would be at least a little bit more ahead in terms of my lighting, I think, if I had gone through the lighting department. Even a little bit, yeah. There will always be challenges to getting into the industry because it is very big. It's all based on relationships, and so establishing those relationships can be challenging, and it takes a long time to get into doors. And so I think that there will always be particular sets of challenges. I think we're getting better in terms of at least having the conversation about representation. I think there's always room for improvement, and just because we're starting the conversation doesn't mean it's reflected, or at least not in terms of just ticking boxes, but actually, just getting people for the right job. I would say that I think in terms of going forward, we just need to improve it in terms of workflow. So I think hours need to be considered. Maybe you won't be able to change the daily hours, but remove 6-day weeks, for example. And I've done 6-day weeks on big budget projects. And so it's fatigue, and I think that's a big part of industry development. I think that needs to be looked at as well.